Now, there has been fresh escalation in Twitter versus Modi government showdown. The IT minister who has been leading the crusade against Twitter for non-compliance of new digital rules has now said that he was blocked out from his account, from accessing his own Twitter account for at least an hour. Ravi Shankar Prasad reacts to this. He hits out at Twitter, says Twitter's actions indicate that they are not the harbinger of free speech, and they claim to be, but are only interested in running their own agenda with the threat that if you do not toe the line that they draw, they will arbitrarily remove you from their platform. No matter what any platform does, they will have to abide by the new IT rules fully, and there shall be no compromise on this. Ravi Shankar Prasad reacting, first reaction there right after Twitter decided to block him out of his own account for at least an hour. No exact reason specified by Twitter, but here Ravi Shankar Prasad's account was blocked for at least an hour before he got a warning and then managed to access his account. Ravi Shankar Prasad has reacted on this. The IT minister has said, in fact, I quote, very clearly says, Twitter's actions indicate that they are not the harbinger of free speech that they claim to be, but are only interested in running their own agenda with the threat here that if you do not comply with their rules or do not toe the line that they draw, they will arbitrarily remove you from their platform. No matter what any platform does, they will have to abide by the new IT rules fully, and there shall be no compromise on that. Here is the exact words coming from Ravi Shankar Prasad, the IT minister. Let's quickly cut across to Rahul Srivastav joining us more. Rahul, here's Ravi Shankar Prasad, who almost claims that Twitter is trying to arm twist their way through. Twitter India's actions, they are not the harbinger of free speech as they claim to be. From what they've done, it looks very clear that they're trying to evade complying with the Indian laws.
There will be multiple issues. See, the first thing is when the IT minister of the country posts on, say, Coup, another social media platform, that something very peculiar happened with his account, that he could not access it, and it was found that he was blocked. Now it has been blocked under what he was informed under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act of the USA, and what we are told by the sources in the Ministry of Information Technology and Electronics, that it could well be a series of interviews that Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad gave, in which he had retweeted the portions of the interview. The first interview he gave was to India Today television, and a series of portions of that interview were retweeted by Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad. Now, what Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad's office and the ministry is asking, that if India Today TV does not have copyright issues with the minister retweeting those excerpts of the interview, then Twitter cannot become the judge. Second element which is being cited by the government is that the rules prescribe that before arriving at any such action, notices under some section 7 of the Twitter rules have to be provided to the subscriber that he is in violation of these rules, and how does he explain them? What the ministry is saying, that the minister received no such notice. Now, those are the two elements which we are being told that why the action was initiated, and after an hour, he was again provided access to his account. When it comes to compliance, yes, you're absolutely right. Twitter has been extremely reluctant to comply with the rules in India, and these compliance issues have become so problematic that the government of India, despite having provided first 3 months and then 1 more week, has eventually led to a situation where Twitter has lost virtually its intermediary status and is challengeable in the courts of law in case there is a content which is objectionable. And that is not a very happy situation for any significant social media platform, because a lot of content can be objectionable for the subscribers. There are 1.75 crore of subscribers Twitter has, and that means there could be thousands of court cases Twitter can face in India. Significantly, in Ghaziabad incident, it is exactly what happened, that eventually Twitter was taken to the court and named in the FIR as far as that case is concerned.
Well, the FIR was registered. In fact, the MD has got some relief from the Karnataka High Court, but this is going to be a regular affair, considering that the legal shield has been lifted. They have to face the law every time someone posts a tweet, post which is not true, or if it's fake. Twitter knows this very well, but still isn't wanting to comply with the laws. They've been evading it time and again. What does it really speak of this American giant, the social media platform?
Nabila, what government sources are now very clearly indicated to us is that it's very clear after the interrogation of the MD of Twitter, Mr. Manish Maheshwari, on the 31st of May, the answers he has provided is that one, he is only a sales entity. He is not an MD who is in charge of Twitter India really. That means one level of accountability is not there. There is virtually no MD, it is only a sales office. Second, though Twitter USA is the platform which is used in India, has got 1.75 crore subscribers, the fact is Twitter India has no connect to Twitter USA in terms of corporate arrangements. Twitter India is related to a company in Singapore where an ex-Korean employee of Twitter India, of Twitter USA, is actually running a company called TICPL, and that company actually runs Twitter India. So the content on the action of Twitter USA, Twitter India is not accountable. That means if there is some objection to some content on Twitter India, nobody can. In case there is a woman whose pictures are morphed and is depicted wrongfully on Twitter in India, that lady has, or account holder, has no redressal as far as Twitter USA is concerned, because Twitter India is not accountable, cannot be approached. That is the complex camouflaging of corporate identity that Twitter has indulged in India. There can be only one explanation, is to escape indemnity and accountability in India. Means if there is some problem in India with some content, say for example, Ladakh was depicted for 15 days as a part of China. When Indian government tried to get it remedied, it took 15 days because Twitter India said that we can't do anything about it. Approach Twitter USA. You will not be, viewers will not believe that there was a period when government of India was trying Twitter to comply with the rules. 3 times the Secretary Mighty, that is the Ministry of Electronic and Information Technology, tried to contact officials in Twitter USA. Can you imagine that the government of India official took him 3 days, 3 calls, thrice, and attempts to contact. Nobody from Twitter USA responded to the calls and the messages from the Indian government. And that is where lies the problem.
Very alarming.
That increasingly Twitter India.
It's very alarming that you rightly said the corporate arrangement is such where in case they have to face the law right here, their arrangement is such where they're not implicated, or they can't be implicated. And that's scary, because this is a massive firm which has over 1 crore subscribers. Indians use Twitter extensively, and they are supposed to be complying with the laws here, but just ensuring that their corporate arrangement is such that the United States company and the Indian company are completely disconnected on this ground. And when it comes to an account in India putting up content, then Twitter USA complies with the USA laws to pull down the account here. So it's matter of convenience through and through.
Yes, it's surprising that there are a lot of copyright infringements all over the country. There are people who post a lot of elements which could well be copyright infringement or infringement of other kind. Say, for example, in this case, sources in the Information Technology Ministry are saying that, say, for example, interviews given by Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad to a channel like India Today Television, in which he had explained the whole situation, why Twitter is losing that indemnity which it enjoys in India as a social media significant intermediary. That interview is posted, and if that is the cause, that there is a copyright infringement being charged against Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, he hasn't got a notice, and it is not India Today TV which is complaining of copyright infringement. So Twitter USA has taken a call on it, suo moto, and Twitter India has no accountability to it. Now that's a very, very strange arrangement that the government has been fearing, that if tomorrow there is content which is a threat to public order or social harmony or national pride or religious sensibilities, then there might be no redressal. Who to go to in India when such content is posted? Because Twitter USA cannot be contacted because Twitter USA is a separate entity, and Twitter India has no accountability.
No, and it's ironic that they give out a warning message there that says that there have been repeated violations, which is why your account is being blocked. And if you agree to open your account, then you'll have to agree with the terms and conditions. Now, if there have been repeated violations, why has there been a sudden action in blocking the account entirely without actually flagging off when there were violations in the past? And how many people, millions of people in India put up content, interviews, retweet content. How does that really mean or amount to infringement of copyrights unless and until the channel head, like India Today, if that matter, like you mentioned, he's retweeted interviews with India Today. India Today has not mentioned anything to Twitter. There is no communication at all. Then on what grounds and basis will they flag up this content, particular content, as copyrights issue? There is no explanation to it at all.
Nabila, what sources are saying that the ministry is extremely aware of the copyright rules in the country. Remember one thing, that Ravi Shankar Prasad also happens to be the law minister of the country. So if it comes to the copyright infringements, Ravi Shankar Prasad, of the elements that is existing on Indian Post, is extremely aware of them. Now, if this account has been blocked because of some digital millennium copyright issues, remember one thing, that that content is not been objected to by the copyright holder. Now, if that is the case, then why should Twitter have an objection? And if it does have an objection, and such blocking happens only after repeat infringements, why were there no notices sent out to the minister? And that is why there is a feeling that this could well be a deliberate act by Twitter to arm twist the government of India.
Well, Rahul, here, these kind of warnings, many people have received in the past as well, without actually flagging off the exact reason to why the account was blocked. Several people have complained that they've got the exact same warning saying that you have violated the norms multiple times, and therefore your account is being blocked. And if you want to open up that account, then you need to ensure you will put up clean content, or you will not be violating the law henceforth. So there's no explanation, there's no reason, there's no flagging off. So this many people have faced in the past as well. But for the IT minister itself to be victim to something like this, it's about time that Twitter bucks up and gives an explanation. In fact, BJP spokesperson Gaurav Bhatia spoke to us. Let's take a listen.
At the very outset, it shows the hypocrisy of Twitter, and it also shows how they are maintaining double standards. It also vindicates the stand of our government that if you have to operate in India, you have to comply with the law of the land. Appropriate action as per law will be taken, but you cannot fiddle and play with the accounts of the Vice President of India and now the IT minister. It only shows that there are no checks and balances and transparency as a policy matter in your company.
Now, the Union IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad did speak with India Today exclusively. He spoke to Rahul Srivastava, in fact, on Twitter versus Centre's policy war. He had very clearly mentioned how Twitter was trying to evade the law. Let's take a listen.
We gave them the last goodwill gesture. Please do.
Comply.
Otherwise, it will have consequences. They said within a week we will do it. First, they appointed a lawyer as their officer grievance. I'm like, you can't do. You have to employ.
They employed a lawyer who was employed with some other law firm.
Yes.
What is the current status? Have they complied with the final compliance officer?
They haven't. I believe they have sent some name, it's still address, etc. is not there. My point is, yesterday, when they said within a week we will do it, they did not do so. And this is very important, Rahul. Rule 7 of the guideline, framed under Section 87 of the Act, having lawful enforceability, clearly says, if you do not follow these guidelines or the rules, then you will lose Section 79 status and other attendant penal law consequences.
That means you are not issuing any order.
No.
It is by default that since you don't comply, you lose that status.
The withdrawal or extinction of your status as an intermediary exemption becomes effective because of operation of law itself. From the government we have said, all right, we will give you 1 week more goodwill gesture. I acknowledge these platforms have empowered ordinary Indians. The point is, we are empowering the ordinary users of these platforms against misuse. We are out of it. Let me make it very clear. But the point again, I would revert a very simple, straight question. Why should you be reluctant to enforce a mechanism which is your user-centric?
What is your hunch? Why don't they do it?
Don't ask me, ask them. For instance, I don't wish to make any comment on the issue as to what is happening in Ghaziabad. The police is doing, others are doing. I will not be making any, except to give one example. As that particular offending tweet has even come on your channel or other channels, it is in public domain. It was, I would say, offensive. Are you not supposed to examine whether you should allow
also a threat to public order?
Huh?
Also a threat to public order?
Absolutely. Apart from the fact that the color of communal angle was found to be completely incorrect in the prima facie investigation, you are giving an impression that we are having a system of checking whether this particular presentation is manipulated or not. Why you have double standards on that? These questions have to be asked. And let me say it very emphatically on Rahul's show, that we are proud of our democracy. We have a constitution which gives freedom of speech and expression. We have a robust judiciary. We have got a robust media. You are asking me all the questions. And ultimately accountable to the people of the country.
Let me quickly cut across to Priyanka Chaturvedi, joining us more details on that. Priyanka, here is Twitter, who's blocked out IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad's account for an hour, claiming that he's infringed on copyrights. Based on the US law, there's no notices, no flagging off. This is the account that was blocked for an hour and then gave him a warning and then allowed him access into his own account. What would you say to this?
Is that a question to me?
Yes.
So it has happened to me as well. The platform is duty bound to raise copyright issues if it's flagged by the owners of that particular copyright or intellectual property right. This is an issue which I had raised too in the committee meeting where we were discussing intellectual property rights and copyright. That how can news channels flag something as a copyright issue when you yourself are a participant and you're sharing it on your pages? So this is not something that it is minister specific, and I do not know why minister is making this about the Twitter platform or the social media platform. These are issues that have been unaddressed by the Information Broadcasting Ministry, by the IT Ministry, and it is coming back to bite them.
Well, this is not minister specific indeed, but this is a problematic issue, and it has, like I also mentioned, we've been tracking this for the last half hour, that many people have flagged off this concern that Twitter blocks your account even without giving you notices. Now, is this not a way for Twitter to arm twist a user? Despite having their own regulations in place, they're going against their own rules. They have to flag off, send out notices, but they aren't doing so. On multiple levels, they've been flouting their own rules and the law in India.
Can I speak now?
Go on.
I will again like to repeat to you that it is not Twitter which is taking this unilateral decision, or for that matter Facebook, or for that matter Instagram, or for that matter any other social media platform. copyright violations, if reported by any such channels or sources which own those copyrights, which have who have this copyrighted information, are raising these issues, and every social media platform is duty bound to do that. Like I said, even I was locked out of my Facebook page, a verified Facebook page, and it is not about me, the minister, you, or whoever's discussing
No, so
this.
were you given an explanation to why you were blocked out?
Yes, I was told that this a TV channel debate which I was a part of was not allowed by my FB page to be shared because it was the news channel raised it as a copyright issue. It was a violation. I was not allowed access to my account till I did not agree to delete that particular tweet, that Facebook post. So you have to understand this is a larger issue that needs to be addressed. Unfortunately, everything has become a politics of narratives rather than policy loopholes that exist in our own laws and in our own systems, and clarity that is missing. Maybe once if we address that as a larger issue and not about me, him, IT minister, Twitter, etc., then we'll probably be able to have a platform, or we'll have laws or policies which address these issues.
Well, what would be your say on Twitter claiming that it has no idea what happens, the kind of posts or the implications of the posts put up in India on its officials, or rather the USA wing and the Indian wing are totally separate. So the corporate arrangement itself is in such a way where they have some sort of indemnity.
Are you aware that Indian government or Indian law agencies do not have copyright regulatory framework, especially for sharing content is concerned? This is what I'm trying to tell you. So any social media platform, if anybody raises a copyright issue, it is bound to follow the copyright norms of not that particular nation, but because there is nothing that exists here on these particular issues. So when Sony Entertainment or Sony Music raises an issue on Rasputin, everyone's tweet has to be pulled down. Dr. Tharoor has also shared the same thing. Sharing videos of the Rasputin video that went viral in Kerala has called for copyright violations.
Well, it's absurd because you have a retweet feature for the only reason you want to retweet content. So the original content holder should be pulled up, if anything. Well, Priyanka, thank you very much, though, for joining us with those.